Today on the show,
start the conversation to start thinking about working with an investor instead of just putting the sign on their lawn.
Using social ads to grow your investing business. Welcome to the Not Another Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm Dan Riando, joined once again by Brian Davis. Hey, Brian.
Hey, how you doing, Danny?
I'm doing real well. We're joined by Tammy Martin today, who is an online marketing specialist. She runs martinmarketing.ca from beautiful Ontario, Canada, and she joins us today. Hi, Tammy. Thanks for making time.
Hi.
Tammy, can you talk a little bit about your background and your journey through the online marketing world? How'd you get into this?
Sure. So I came from the corporate world. And in that world, I was working as a marketing manager. And then when I opened my own marketing agency, I started out doing more of the digital projects. So typically websites and that kind of thing. But what I was finding was that I would launch the website and then the client would look to me and say, okay, how do I get traffic and how do I get sales now that I've got this like bright, shiny website? So that got me interested on the marketing side because that is my background and it is my passion. So I got trained in Google AdWords, which was great, but I was finding that some businesses weren't necessarily a fit for AdWords because it's more intent based and not as much for businesses that have a business to promote that isn't like, let's say, a plumber, which is something you would search up on Google quickly, but some businesses people just aren't looking for. So the social platform, Facebook, was becoming a really big thing several years ago, kind of like a gold rush era, I called it, because Google was a very mature platform. It was also very expensive, but Facebook was like in its infancy, it was working and it was cheap. So I was putting a lot of clients on Facebook and I ended up flipping my agency over to being like a full-time Facebook and then now Instagram agency. So that's sort of where I started and how I've ended up where I am today.
How do you feel about the message that you put out onto Facebook? If you're a real estate investor and you're looking to get clients or you're looking to advertise your content marketing or you're looking to just find sellers that maybe would call you and say, I have a house that I need to sell. Could you give me a cash offer for it? How might you advise a real estate investor to advertise or market on Facebook to get those sorts of leads?
So are you selling to the end consumer or are you just trying to sell to a real estate investor so that they can perhaps...
Oh, right.
I'm not sure if they flip or...
Oh, right. Yeah. So a real estate investor, as a fix and flipper or as a buy and hold person, you're looking to source deals. So you're looking to find properties below market value. And so typically guys will put up bandit signs on a tree and say, we buy homes cash. Give us a call. Right. Here's our phone number. Or they will send letters to people that are in probate that maybe inherited a property and they need to sell it. Or they'll send letters to absentee owners, or they'll even use, Google pay-per-click that says, we buy homes cash, call us now for a cash offer, that sort of thing. So if somebody were to go to Facebook and market on that platform and use paid advertising, what might be a good direction for them to go in?
What does the persona look like of someone that would be in this situation? Are they typically lower income?
Yeah, I guess it would typically be somebody in financial trouble, probably somebody lower income. Yep.
Right.
And and people that own homes. It depends on your target, but yeah, that's probably what it's like. There must be a certain personality type. I'm not sure if people lose houses if they have a certain personality type, but there must be some sort of demographic.
Well, persona is more, like it's demographics, it's psychographics. There's a few different angles where you can approach it. But from a targeting standpoint on Facebook, there's options there where you can choose homeowners, you can choose income ranges, like in the US only. Like in Canada, you can't do that because there just isn't the third party data available for us. But yeah, so if you have a good idea of who you're targeting, or even age, like, so if there's an age range that these people typically are, that would be a place to start. If there's already a list of people that you have flipped properties, like have purchased their homes, that can also be uploaded to Facebook, and you can create a lookalike list out of them. And a lookalike list is basically telling Facebook, okay, these, let's say 100 people, I want to find other people that are similar to them. And I want you to go out and find them, and let's place our ads in front of them.
Oh, really? Would you need their Facebook profile link? No. Or
no, just first name, last name, email. There's other fields as well that it'll accept. So if you have their phone number, city, state, zip, those are things that can be uploaded as well. So in case their email address doesn't match, they can match on other criteria that would correspond with their name.
Tammy, is there anything you could talk about content marketing and using that in Facebook, and how you might tie a few different platforms together, and how somebody might be able to use that in their business?
Yeah. So basically with social media, typically you're jumping in on their personal time. So they're looking through their news feed to see what's going on with their friends and family, watching videos, that type of thing. So typically lots of people want to jump on the platform and go right into their pitch, which just doesn't work as well. It's kind of like a marriage proposal before you've even dated the person, if I can liken it to something. But so typically that's where content marketing comes in. So, and this is where actually it's interesting, where a lot of journalists have moved over to, because of the whole, their industry has really taken a big hit. So the use of storytelling, it's funny because journalists are like, oh, marketers are picking up on storytelling. We've only been doing that for decades. So the use of storytelling. And if you think about making it's almost like a legal argument for why someone would want to. So if you think about it from the logical side of why someone would want to work with this investor directly instead of going with a real estate agent. So educating them on maybe there's some perks for them. I don't know your industry well enough to know, but that would be one angle. And there's like usually a few different angles that you can come up with to help educate them and start the conversation for them to start thinking about working with an investor instead of just putting the sign on their lawn per se. So, yeah.
Right. So maybe an investor says, hey, thanks for stopping. We have a YouTube channel and just wanted to share with you, whatever the 5 reasons why sellers are using real estate investors to buy their homes instead of putting them on the market. And then when you go there, you can explain the downfalls of using an agent, the upside of using an agent, the downfalls of an investor, and the upside of an investor, so that they can understand the difference between the two and let them make an informed decision. And then all you're really doing is providing content. They see you as a trusted advisor. And then when the time comes, if it's now, if it's later, they know you've been there, and that's when you might get the call.
Well, and then you can even take it a step further and do like a video testimonial of someone that's gone through the process of working with that investor to add. So it's the social proof, but also it's like the voice of customer. So they're probably going to use language a little differently than you, because they'll use more layman's terms. So they'll be able to touch on the sort of pain points and benefits and all of that your potential customer would also be struggling with and considering.
If you go through a deal with somebody that you've just bought a home from, you can interview them at the closing, after, get on the phone, and you can have this conversation, and you could ask them sort of those questions so that they can help the audience understand why it worked well for them as opposed to another direction.
Yeah. And even asking them for reviews. Like if you have obviously if you're going to be advertising on Facebook, you would have a Facebook page, but you can even ask them for a review on Facebook as well. So the social proof is that's what the next generation really leans on. So any
Right.
way to back it up.
And what works best on Facebook? Is it video? Does audio work? Do you see everything just works with a different audience?
So video often outperforms static images, and I think it's because there's like a higher barrier to entry for video because not a lot of people have it, because it's it's usually an investment to shoot video, or people just aren't comfortable on camera. But the thing about video is that the majority of people on social don't have their volume on, so they're typically going to be watching your video muted. So the use of the captioning feature in Facebook is important so that they can read it along the bottom as they're watching it. Because typically they'll be busy doing something. Maybe they're in transit, or maybe they're waiting in a doctor's office and watching your video, but they don't want like this blaring video interrupting other people. So yeah, if you're going to use video, don't like go to town on the audio aspect, because in general it's not going to be utilized too much.
Oh, so if you put a video on Facebook, there's a selection for adding captions to it that they can see.
Yeah, so when you upload it, there's an option for the captioning, and you can click on it and it auto detects all the voices, and it actually pre-types it out for you. You just have to go in and edit it to make sure that, because sometimes people say things and it's a little bit muffled, so it doesn't hear it accurately, so it spells the word wrong or uses the wrong word, or in names too, right? They get names messed up too. But yeah, it's a great feature. So that, and you've probably seen it in your newsfeed as well, is videos with the captioning at the bottom, and that's why it was created.
Is there any trick or hints you can give on how to get an audience to share a post?
It's got to be engaging. It's got to be, because I mean, you really want to focus on helping the person, but if there isn't anything really outstanding to talk about or share, then it's probably not going to be shared. There is something where you'll find in the comments people have started tagging other people, like maybe their husband or a friend where they might know. So that's the neat thing about social that you don't get on AdWords, is you can share the ads with friends, but also you start tallying up social proof. So then your posts get more likes and shares and comments than it is to the onlooker that's just seen the ad for the first time. It's like, oh, 100 people have liked this post. Okay, maybe there's something to it. And then they pay a little bit more attention to it. Whereas with AdWords, they have no idea whether 100,000 people have seen that post and liked it, or one. So it's kind of cool with social because you get that backing as well.
And you have the comments there. So there's a back and forth, right?
So it's important to be responding to those comments too. Otherwise you kind of look like a jerk.
Right. Yeah. And before we got on and started recording, you were talking about LinkedIn and how you've started to move certain clients there for certain reasons. And it's probably a little similar to Facebook, but could you talk about why somebody might look at LinkedIn to market to an audience and the differences?
So if a real estate investor is looking at targeting real estate agents as opposed to that sort of end customer, the LinkedIn platform would be a good place to consider, because the newsfeed of LinkedIn is a lot like Facebook, but the conversation is of a business nature instead of personal. So it makes sense to be targeting real estate agents because they're typically, they're going to have their job title entered. So in terms of targeting, you're going to be able to reach out to them a lot more effectively because, I mean, real estate agents want everyone to know that they're a real estate agent. So it's pretty easy to find them on LinkedIn. So what you would do is set up your targeting. So same thing, you can set up by geo, like the geographic area. You can set up job title and reach out to them. So you can do it right in the newsfeed with sponsored content. So you could do a video or a static image with a link to a blog article or something along those lines. Or you can do something called LinkedIn InMail. And that is it's like a cold email campaign, but it goes to their LinkedIn messages section of that social platform. So it's not utilized very much, and I feel like not a lot of people are using it or know about it. People that are in sales typically know about it because they'll have like LinkedIn premium accounts, and they're reaching out to a handful of people each month that are cold connections that they have no common connections with or anything like that. So what InMail does is it's an auction. So if you, let's say, want to spend, I don't know, $15 a day with a message that comes directly from you to that real estate agent, that $15 will basically buy you as many InMail messages as possible for that day. And it goes, to their LinkedIn message inbox. And what we're finding results wise is that we're seeing over 50% open rates on those messages, and then healthy click rates too, that we're seeing that are outperforming email marketing. So it's an underutilized tactic if you're reaching out to people that have a specific job title and have a specific business or type of business or industry, that kind of thing. So
yeah. So what's the cost difference between Facebook and LinkedIn? Is it pretty comparable?
No, Facebook's still cheaper, I find.
Than LinkedIn,
LinkedIn is great because if you are B2B, I mean, that's where you want to be. But I do find the leads and clicks, they do cost more. So you just have to be strategic about which who you want to target specifically and what platform you want to start with. I wouldn't try and do everything all at once. Like I would try and figure out what works and what platform works and what message works before you start dabbling in a bunch of things. Otherwise you're just going to overwhelm yourself and then not want to do anything. So so it's all, I mean, all of it is an iterative approach. So you need to test your messages. So you can't put one ad up and it doesn't work. And then you say, well, that platform doesn't work for me. It's like, well, no, like when I launch campaigns, like I'm launching a dozen ads with different headlines. I'm testing different images. Like you cannot throw the baby out with the bathwater. You got to try a bunch of different things and a bunch of different angles. So maybe it's images, maybe it's video, maybe it's a different video. So maybe the first one didn't resonate. Maybe try another one until you can sort of find that sweet spot.
Right. And you also had made mention that you have a little bit of focus on Instagram as well. Could you talk about what you do over there?
So with Instagram, it's a platform that can be managed within the Facebook Business Manager platform as well. So it's an easy extension if you've already been dabbling in Facebook ads. So it's just simply selecting another platform in your ad delivery in the ad set. With Instagram, we tend to customize the creative for that platform though. So because the images are square as opposed to Facebook that are more of a rectangle. So but Instagram is definitely worth considering as well, especially if your market's a little bit younger. Facebook tends to be a slightly older audience and Instagram is a little younger, but I will say that people that are older are starting to pick it up because it's just a little different than Facebook. The experience is a little different. It's much more visual. So people that like pretty things, right. They're on Instagram. So, but it's definitely worth testing.
Yeah. And do you have any other platforms or places that you've been looking at besides LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram that somebody might want to consider, or a place where there might be really good value?
So it's interesting. So we have a smart TV in our home and we play YouTube music videos from time to time. And I was in the kitchen working away and one of the ads came on because there's different YouTube ad variations too to choose from. There's like in-stream and all of that. And there was an ad that came up for a house and it was, those virtual tours where it's like the drone. Well, actually, it's not a drone. Whatever. They take those videos where they walk you through the house, so you're basically doing a virtual tour of the home. So the ad was actually a tour of a home, like a couple of neighborhoods over from where I live, and I was like, holy crap. Like, what real estate agent is that innovative, that they've realized that YouTube is a place where a lot of people are engaging with videos and watching ads. So I thought that it was quite clever. So that's another platform to consider for sure.
Oh, YouTube.
Yeah.
So say for me as a real estate investor, if somebody's looking to sell their home and they search something on YouTube, you can have certain keywords where you would be the sponsored content on YouTube, and you would show up right next to it as they're watching the video. Is that kind of how that works?
Yeah, or right within the video, because sometimes my friend calls them skip videos. Those ones where they play for like 10 seconds and then you have to manually
and you're
press
waiting.
skip.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you're like waiting, but you get 10 seconds of free airtime for these people, right? And you're not paying for that. You're paying for the people that click on your ad, not for the people that like watch the 10 seconds and move on. So yeah, so that's pretty cool because you're getting impressions and 10-second views of people that, yeah, they now know your brand and what your message is if you can get a lot of it out in that first 10 seconds. I mean, there's other different ways to deliver ads in YouTube as well. But yeah, it can be keyword based. It can be geographically based, obviously, because I was served an ad that was a couple of neighborhoods over. So yeah, it's another one. If you have like a specific house. So so I don't know in terms of, who you're targeting or like whether you'd want to show video, I guess, after you flip it, or I don't know. I don't know your market well enough to know how that would implement, but that's something worth considering.
Yeah. I've got caught watching some of those videos before. There's a guy, Ty Lopez, and he always does these really long videos. I'm always looking for like motivational material, and he'll pop up, and if you don't hit skip, it'll run for, I don't know, probably 10 minutes. You could watch this guy on a paid ad. Do you just pay for the ad and the impression, or do you pay for how long?
No, you don't pay for, you pay for the click. You don't pay for the impression. Oh, well, and then, if it's those long videos, then you do pay for like once they've watched a certain amount, but those people that watch 10 seconds and skip, you're not paying for them.
If you were to just focus on social media, those are probably the 4 platforms you would definitely consider as Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and just trying to understand where your audience might be and what type of message to give them based on the platform. Right.
Yeah, those are the top contenders, I would say.
Awesome, Tammy. Yeah, this was really great. I think everybody would really find this fascinating. The problem is that it's really difficult to do this on your own. So I guess what you do is you consult with people and you help them set up their ads, split test, determine which platform to be on, determine the keywords, that sort of thing. Am I correct?
Yeah. I mean, if people are just starting out, what you would do is put a post on your business page and then like boost it. And it gives you some basic targeting techniques. And then sort of phase 2 of like stepping up your game is going in and using like Business Manager, because you're going to see a lot more settings there to target more interests and more of the demographic type options. So, but yeah, if you're just starting out, that's probably the easiest way to do it. But yeah, when you're paying someone else to do it for you, like the costs like increase a fair bit, right? Because then you're paying someone else to create the ads for you and to create split tests and all of that. So if budget is a concern, definitely try doing it yourself first, and then grow it to a point where you can pass it off to someone to really amplify it. But that's a good starting point.
Tammy Martin runs Martin Marketing. You can find her at martinmarketing.ca. So Brian, what are you reading this week?
I'm reading 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. This book is about startups And especially those original startups that aren't just recycling an idea, but they're taking something new from 0 to 1, and they're going to be the first of its kind of like Facebook was really the first social media platform of its kind, and it will probably be the only one. And there's so much power in being that company that goes from 0 to 1. And he talks about how the internet is still very young, and there's so many ideas out there that have yet to be found and explored. And there's so much that we can do. And the next Mark Zuckerberg isn't going to start a Facebook. There's probably not going to be another Google, but there's going to be other sorts of startups that are going to be new and fresh and change the world. Those ideas haven't come to light yet, and there's still that possibility. So it's very inspirational, motivational, and it's a really cool look. And Peter Thiel is a super smart guy, and there's a bunch of really great insight in this book. So I would recommend anybody interested in getting a new book picks up 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel.
You can find a link to 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel in the show notes. That's all the time we have for this edition of the show. Be sure to rate us in iTunes or on SoundCloud. We'll see you next time.